For my final presentation, I chose to use the first-person shooter that was made as part of PO3, Doom, obviously. Starting off the map story is that leading from the far end of the facility, which is the direction you'll be going in, all the way back to the entrance, which is the area I'm currently in. You are going into the facility to clear it out of demonic activity, as well as find, what happened to all of the people that were working here. Throughout the course of that, you will find instances of cult-like behavior, where cultists were spawning demons to help overtake the facility, as well as areas of slaughter that occurred from where the demons initially fought their way through the portals, then a major slaughter in the hall leading to the security officers trying to hold the line for as long as they could, which resulted in many of them becoming possessed or killed. Pushed all the way back to the first arena here, which has a area called Last Stand in documentation, which was guarding an area where a number of civilians fled to, off to the side, as well as this one particular individual who is the only one to actually make it all the way back to the entrance gate just to find it locked, and that's where he died. Starting off the map, you will have access to a shotgun, as well as melee, obviously. Some ranged weapons if you prefer to fight as a ranged fighter, or a combination of which. You'll also find various gore piles. Some of them are organized in a way that it looks like the demons were actually starting to organize the dead, so they have been in control of the facility for long enough to begin managing the dead. And a small detail that might not have made it into documentation is that as you go through the facility, every single individual body you find throughout the map is always pointing in the opposite direction that you're going, so it is obvious that they are running away from whatever you are currently moving towards. Entering into our first arena here, there's going to be one enemy that spawns, and after you kill that enemy, a level 1 wave event will occur with 3 cycles, making it a beginner to moderate difficulty wave event. After you kill this first initial demon that spawns, so you can at least get 1 kill in before you actually have to fight a larger group. Inside the facility, up higher in the map, you'll find the Last Stand, or the area that's referred to in documentation as Last Stand, where the security forces that made it as far as anyone else did towards the exit, other than this one person here, were slaughtered, as well as up to the side. You'll find an area of cultist behavior as well as a slaughter. Some of the cultist behavior is hidden, and some of it is obvious throughout the map.
Lockdown initiated.
That battle is meant to be a relatively easy introduction to the player for what's going to be happening throughout the rest of the facility. This right here is the area that is referred to as the last stand, where a number of security officers tried to find high ground and secure it from the demons. If the player was to explore this first part of the map here, they'll come across this side area here with more examples of disposal being done with the bodies, as well as a locked door on this side, and a unlocked door on this side. Inside this room here, an area in documentation called the Dark Room, a Revenant will spawn to give the player their initial boss battle, mini-boss battle. You will find the first example of cultist behavior, with a number of cultists at an altar of a Unborn. In documentation, this one is called the Altar of the Unborn, and gives you access to your first weapon pickup, which is a super shotgun. Every time the player is introduced to a new weapon, I always try to give them an opportunity to use that weapon immediately. And you'll also find an area over here where a number of civilians were slaughtered as they were hiding from the demons. These civilians specifically are all maintenance workers, or, gore, to add to the theme of why there's an industrial tool here, which is the chainsaw. But I wanted to use the chainsaw in this map so that it could keep some of the classic Doom feel of the chainsaw event. Once the chainsaw is picked up, you spawn in a number of demons that you can now use the chainsaw on. Proceeding to the next part here, we have an example of hidden cultist behavior, which is underneath this altar right here. If you interact with it, you activate a part of the map that is called the Altar of the Baron. Baron will be the final boss in the map, and this gives you a hint as to who you will be fighting in the long run, as well as a new weapon pickup. Moving on to the next part of the facility is an area where the security officers tried to hold their line, and a number of them were possessed. The loss of this battle, specifically with security, is shown by the unusually large number of possessed soldiers there are, as well as a number of afflicted and a final boss type enemy. This part of the map in particular shows an area of slaughter where a number of civilians got separated from the main group fleeing the facility and got cornered and slaughtered. Over here you will find the red keycard to the door from the other room, as well as a number of dead officer or security, like this one right here with a plasma rifle pickup. These down here, which was a group of officers that got ambushed with a chain gun pickup. And going back to the key card with the red door, or the we will find another, similar to the chainsaw event, we will find another classic Doom weapon. It is the BFG. Going up, we'll find evidence of an industrial accident that has happened, where a number of workers died as the facility was falling apart around them. Leading into this area here, which is the main area of slaughter. In this area, we are introduced to the last new enemy that the player will face before the final boss, which is the shielded security demon. Just like all of the other cases, all of the bodies in this room are all pointing in the opposite direction that the player is going. This is the main area in which the largest slaughter occurred of the civilians, as well as evidence of a number of security officers trying to hold this position and managed to lock this door, even though, as we have been fighting through the whole facility, there's a number of demons as well as cultists further down in the facility that kept the demon scourge moving forward. Opening this door, we will have sort of a formation style engagement where the demons, instead of being haphazardly set up, are in roughly the same number as the previous room with the soldiers, this room here, except that they're set up in a way to make the initial engagement more difficult, with shielded officers in front of a number of afflicted, as well as a number of imps. So shielded in front of the afflicted as a wall to protect majority of the force moving towards you, as well as imps for ranged combat. Should put the player in a different kind of scenario than a lot of Doom maps do, where you just run and gun. As well as a Baron in the map, which is the final boss. Under most conditions, this battle actually would be relatively difficult, except for the fact that I have a BFG from the pickup. And as we go into this part of the map here, this is the final point of the story, where there are a number of hell portals open that the demons came through, and how they initially took over the facility, as well as power-ups that could be used in the map if you did not explore the initial opening points to find the red door, or did not explore to find the red key. In the event that you did go through the ammo and health that is available on this map, and you are pushed to continue fighting, there are more in the back here that would give you your last stand kind of fight. On the difficulty that I'm currently playing this at, which is normal, this was not necessary. However, on the hardest difficulties, you are very likely to have gone through most of the ammo that is available in the map entirely, so you might need additional ammo. And the only thing left to do would be to exit the map. So, running the story backwards, the hell portals were invaded by the demons, which a number of people in this area tried to flee for their lives and were cut down by demons. Security locked this gate as the battle continued in here. Obviously, no one that was in this room survived. Industrial accidents were occurring. The facility is falling apart. The security officers tried to hold this area here from them, which was where a mancubus and a number of afflicted fought them, and a number of the security officers themselves were possessed. Some civilians fled in this direction, others fled down that path. That path is a dead end, so those that fled in that direction were slaughtered by the demons that overtook this area. Continuing back down, you find cultist behavior leading to this main room here, which was also overrun. A number of security officers tried to defend their position right here by taking the high ground, which also did not work, with some civilians being trapped on the far end of this facility, and ultimately succumbing in the dark room, where more cultist behavior was occurring, as well as the chainsaw massacre. With only one last individual that actually managed to make it all the way back to the entrance and died at the gate, which is the first individual that you are introduced to. So, some of the challenges that I had when making this map was obviously learning how to use the Snap Map Editor. Also, I wanted to take the lore of the game itself into account when making the level. I wanted to make a story that made sense. And an overrun facility where humans were playing around with portals to hell and demons overtook them is something that makes a lot of sense in the Doom universe. I also wanted to add a lot of atmosphere, like the dark room and the cultist behaviors, that was not necessarily in the full run-and-gun spectrum, and added some story to the world itself. And I also considered balancing throughout the entire time here, where I wanted to find a balance between a level that's fun to play and a level that's challenging to play, which is not necessarily in the same camp. And I believe I came relatively close, giving the player lots of options with weapons, multiple paths. I considered in each one of the main arenas a close-range fighter with power-ups as well as a long-range fighter that would prefer to hang back from the main combat if they could, to accommodate other people's play styles. And I wanted to add some different kinds of engagements too than the classic Doom, like formations, for example, the shielded security officers, as well as the inflicted, supported by imps for ranged combat, to show that the group of demons that took over this facility was more organized than a lot of the chaotic maps tend to be. And I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching.